Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the July 1st meeting?
Hold on there. There we go.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the July 1st meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second, Patrick?
Second.
Any comments or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. There are no appearances. There is no unfinished business under new business. We have one item, 6A, consideration of resolution 24-7-2434, amending a contract with Miller Communications for additional referendum communications consulting services. Is there a motion to approve this?
Move to approve. Second.
Neil, did you want to talk about this?
Yep, the original proposal that we received from Miller actually identified 3 phases of assistance. We have completed phases 1 and 2, which is what the current letter of agreement we have signed with them is for. This is essentially a phase 3 that would take us into the public education phase post-survey, which obviously the survey is officially closed. We're waiting, they're finishing up tabulating, hoping to have kind of a preliminary set of results here even this Wednesday as an internal meeting with Miller to do that, but obviously anticipating that being completed here in the next week or so, we would like to move ahead and get the next phase of the public education campaign ready to go with Miller at this point. So their proposal is attached. The amount is supposed to be not to exceed $37,741.
That includes 2 mailings. I checked with the city clerk the other day, and her deadline for mailing ballots for the November election is September 19th. So we really need to get moving on communications once we decide
Pick a question, yep.
which way are you going. So I told staff I really want to see this this contract settled and ready to go so we can get moving as soon as possible.
Is this about, this is what we expected, right?
Absolutely. If you look at the original proposal, they did identify a 3rd phase, and this is consistent with what they had originally
So,
said.
yeah, it wouldn't make any sense to change horses now in the middle of the stream.
Yeah, I would even go a step further, Alden, and say this is the kind of probably the most important phase, I would argue, going forward. Once we select the question, the actual getting that information out for the public education and information is will be critical to the effort, I think, so.
And part of what they'll provide us with is a slide deck so that we can do some presentations at various meetings, and we're already talking about some public information meetings and meeting with various local groups and that kind of thing. And so, did you have another question, Doug?
Yeah, this is more on the substance of their PowerPoint, I guess you call it. Are they saying, well, I know there are limits on advocacy. I'm assuming those are limits on the city or city officials acting in their official capacity.
That's correct.
But as individuals, at least the elected officials for sure, we can take positions on it.
Yeah, I think all of the key is simply to, if and when you're considering doing that, you clearly identify that you are doing so as an individual and not as an official of the city council in your capacity.
And for instance, you couldn't use your city email to promote it, that kind of thing.
Right, yes, right.
But as an individual, obviously, you certainly have that First Amendment right to do that, Alder.
And then it seems like they're also though saying that education is maybe a more effective approach than just, not the city can't advocate, but that seems to be.
Yeah, I think this is largely based on the model that they have done in multiple other communities and school referendums, even in municipal referendums, is just simply to provide, these are the facts. This is the information related to, what we'd like to see for services or hiring wise. This is the cost associated with that. Conversely, at some point, probably be having some language that if there was a referendum did not pass, what sorts of services would the city be looking at, either eliminating or reducing to make up for that difference? That is not advocacy. That is simply stating these are the options and what we'll have to be taking a look at.
Okay.
Alderman Pula, did you have any questions or?
I do not.
Okay, so this essentially would work on putting together an addendum to the current contract, right?
That's correct, and we certainly will want to have Attorney Cole just review it one last time, but it is essentially the same terms and conditions as the first phase, so.
Well, if there aren't any more questions, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. The next item is, wait, I'm on the wrong agenda here. Acceptance of general fund accounts, I'm on the financial report.
Yeah. Yes, this is kind of the half-year report through June 30th. So far we're running pretty well, most of our accounts. I made a lot of notes on here, just kind of highlight things. Just there's little kind of four areas of concern, and I mentioned those. I'll mention those as I made a note of them as legal. It's one of those. It's one of those things where we have a lot of stuff going on at this moment. So that's projected to be over. And IT is one we talked about anyway with the referendum.
What page are you on, Mark?
I was just doing it as
Oh,
general
okay.
scope. But that legal's on page 38. 38. Projecting the large overage that's for that.
I noticed, I assume because we had a lot of litigation,
Yes. So you have the Kinsler property, you have Walmart's, you have some other ones.
which we have been winning, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
unfortunately, they don't come with reimbursement for,
Yeah, things like that. They just add up, little things add up with that. And then the other one for that is page 40, data processing for, basically it's our IT person. About $20,000 over projecting. It's hard. Something breaks every week, something has to be implemented. Just one of those things. Even with that, we're still probably under what a full-time person would be if we'd hire instead of contracting. So even with those kinds of concerns for the general fund, we're still on pace to be in the positive at the end of the year with those couple changes. Another big one just came in today on page 37. Chief McNullen just told me about the fire protection fees. Right now, we're waiting on state. He thinks we'll kind of get everything. We didn't get last year's either, so we're short like $20,000 last year, and this year looks like it's all going to come this year. So I think he said we'll get everything above and beyond the $22,000 that we budgeted for that, but that's make up for also last year too. So that should be coming fairly soon.
what page is that, Mark?
On page 37.
Okay.
And the other two areas of concerns are actually other funds. So one is the library fund, page 49 and 50. Just in general and just kind of what's going on, I know for July already. This one with a lot of maintenance stuff, just a lot of different things they've been doing. Part-time wages, they gave some bonuses out too that were not part of the ARPA bonuses. So it's one of those things, they're probably on track to be having a little bit of a loss in that fund.
Why are their part-time wages so much over? Isn't that something they can control?
That's the one where they gave those extra bonuses we talked about.
But shouldn't those have didn't they come out of their fund balance?
Yeah,
Well,
How would they-
they don't show up in fund balance, they'll show up at the end of the year as the loss, so that's kind of how that works a little bit. We don't have a fund balance
well, but,
for accounting purposes. It's coming out of fund balance, but for accounting purposes, it still shows up.
Yeah, there was no formal budget amendment or anything adding
Oh.
that expense
Yeah.
into there, so.
huh,
But the loss is
it's covered, right?
covered by the library fund balance.
It will be covered by the fund
Correct.
balance, so it'll come out of there.
Then there's, dispatch seems to have an awful lot of overtime.
So dispatch does have a lot of overtime, but the salaries are under, and so what's happening there is they had somebody was a vacant position for a while. So the savings from the vacant position would cover the overtime
Okay.
on that one. And we're still above the overtime number with the savings, so we're doing, and then also on that one, we'll have a large savings for health insurance, because they have two people, we'll have about a savings about 20,000 on their health insurance. Because the person that left was family, and now is like an opt-out person, which is a big change. So there's be about 20, so in total, even with a little bit of the overtime they're over, they'll be still way under their budget. And the other one, the major one is the EMS Fund Ambulance Fund, page 57. On
Page what?
page 57,
Thank you.
I forgot to include a sheet in here. That shows where they are with their, so their billing was behind. They're caught up in the actual billing, but the collection, I just don't see it coming in yet. So there is an issue with that, to see if we'll get where collections are gonna be. So we're behind on the revenue coming in. And then if you go to the next page on 58, we're kind of already at 54%. We're supposed to be around 50. But they're kind of what you talked about. The overtime there is really high, and the savings there was two people that were gone for salaries. That right now is zeroed out, so there's no more savings from those people that are left. So any additional overtime is actually going to be negative with that. As you can see further down, dues and subscriptions, supplies and stuff, they're almost kind of either above or going to be close to 100%. So I'm projecting a pretty good loss in there at this time, unless all of a sudden the revenue comes in. So we're kind of tracking that. So I'll have a good idea probably by end of July what that number, if it's where that's at. We did make a little bit up in June, but not enough to have an impact.
Our dues, where does all their travel for conferences go? Is that under professional development?
Professional development.
So what is the dues and subscriptions? They've already spent way over the budgeted amount. What is that? That isn't just,
No, that's a lot of it. I have to take, I mean, I can get the detail for it. A lot of it's different programs they use, subscriptions to
like software programs?
some software stuff, some other, I have to look at exactly what it
Lumping
is.
things like cable and whatnot in there too for like fire department or not?
No, not for that. I can get the detail from that. I forget what it all
I
is.
can, if you don't mind, I can tell you exactly why that line item is over. We're waiting on payment from Oregon Fire. We share a server for our PCR software. So with that, it goes through us, and Oregon cuts us a check for their portion of it, which is about $6,500.
But that
So that
won't
brings-
show up on this line, will it, Mark? Will that show up?
Once we receive the money from
Yeah.
Then you'll deduct it from
Yeah,
that
we'll deduct
line?
it from there.
Okay.
And most of our dues and subscriptions come in the first half of the year, unfortunately, or fortunately, between our scheduling software, the alerting software we use, all that stuff comes in the first part of the year. So that line item traditionally runs high in the first half. Second half of the year, we have very little in the way of dues and subscriptions. So we're awaiting a check from Oregon Fire to pay for their portion of the PCR software that we share.
Okay.
And then the next page is tourism. Just so everybody knows, page 61, I did include what everything's been spent for tourism so far and all the grants that have been awarded for the first 2 quarters. The numbers don't match what's on the 630 number compared to the 710 because there was other stuff that came in 1st of July. But as of 710, July 10th, this is what we spent it on, what's all been awarded. How much is remaining down there is at $311,000. Still available to be awarded. I think the 3rd quarter was just awarded, but so that's all in there.
And Mark, just to, if I could make a comment on that, just the, you see several of those items that don't appear to be, in terms of if they're not outstanding. This year with some of the changes that in terms of the tourism entity contract with MESBA, a lot of those programs were kind of rolled up into one individual application. So There won't be quite as many applications from Mesba probably next year. That dollar figure will probably be up a little higher and be part of their tourism entity contract at the beginning of the year. So we'll probably see fewer applications because they'll be rolling some of those event marketing items into their actual contract with the city on an annual basis, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so just if anybody has questions, this is what's everything has been spent to date for 2024. That's all that's all I have. I mean, I know I made a lot of notes. If you have any other questions.
And I can't remember, our interest income is up is it still up quite a bit?
Interest income is right now, we're at 100%, but I still need to allocate some of that out. So we should at the very end be up a little bit, but not a ton.
Okay.
Because usually I have to wait towards the end of the year to allocate it based on, once I do all the audit stuff to make sure everything's right, we'll allocate based each month and allocate it out based on the balances in each month.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a accounting thing. But we're basically at 100% right now through June.
Any other questions for Mark?
I don't have it.
No.
And I should remember this. We don't usually vote to accept this or
No.
anything, do we? It's just information. Okay, then if there's nothing else, move on to acceptance of general fund accounts payable checks dated June 28th through July 11th, 2024. Documentation of invoices paid is available in the city clerk's office. So, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff relates back to what we just kind of talked about. So, on page 83, here's the additional grants. I said it was paid in July for tourism grants. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of it's just ordinary services. I don't really have much. Page 96, Lake Ridge Bank. So these are our credit cards we have right now, and we just, using the credit cards, we do get cash back. And I think it was just recently, took the cash out. It was about $3,500. So we did get the cash back out of that.
That's good. And that just goes in the general fund, I assume?
Yes, yep. I really don't have anything else other than just normal business.
Doug?
Under the Lake Ridge Bank, there's payment of $3,168 to UW Athletics. Do you know what that is? Are we hiring out?
Is that to University Ridge?
Oh, yeah, that's UW Ridge.
Oh,
'cause
that's probably for the golf out.
It is the golf outings, that's the 800 number.
Yep.
So we're not paying for a tight end.
Not yet.
That's probably not enough.
Yeah, so that's our payment
No,
It's
Okay.
that's University.
that's for a
Ridge.
week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you say 800 number it's kind of like it's a scholarship fund in the end, so it gets the money in for the, donations and the event, and this is what's paid out. The remaining stuff goes to scholarships and the
Okay.
Parks Department.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the bills?
Motion to accept the bills?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Any staff updates? Okay. If there are none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Now I have
Thank you.
some questions.